Hello, howdy, bonjour. Long time no see. Welcome to another episode of Dead Air. I'm your host, Evil Daddy. You can also call me Dwight or Dickhead or Asshole, whatever you'd like to call me. I will probably turn around. It's been a while. Uh, I think this is the sixth episode, and I started in July of this year, and the year's almost over. It's December. Um, some of you that know me might know that I did a movie that I worked on as a crew member in October, and it was just a lot going on. I really wanted to focus on that, so I took a break from the podcast. Well, then October ended, the movie ended, and I meant to come back, but I wanted to change up the formatting. I didn't know exactly how I wanted to change it, and I just kept pushing it off, putting it to the side, and not doing it. So I thought I'd just I thought I'd just shake off the, I don't know, writer's block, content block, podcast block that I was feeling, where I just felt like I needed to have something better. And I'm just gonna do probably a shorter video than usual. Um, what is today? Today is the 23rd December, the year of our Lord 2024. And as you might know, or if you don't know, the remake of Nosferatu is coming out on Christmas. And I'm hoping I can see it on Christmas. I've got a group of people that want to see it. I've also got other people that want to see it on like the 26th. So we'll see. I might end up seeing it twice. That'd be really cool. Not for my wallet, but for me. Because there's no way it's going to be bad. It's Robert Eggers. Eggers has yet to make a bad movie. His worst movie was The Northman, and that's like still like an 8 out of 10. Maybe even a 9 out of 10. I've only seen it once. I need to rewatch it. But I figured for this episode, I made a list on Letterboxd where you can follow me, I believe, at Evil Daddy, or at Dwight Wilt. I don't remember. One of those two. If you check any of my socials, it should have a link to Letterboxd. Follow me on Letterboxd. I'll like your stuff. I'll read your stuff. We'll talk about movies. I like movies. Hopefully you like movies. That's why you're here. But I made a list, and I'm checking it twice, of movies I want to watch before Nosferatu comes out. And so I haven't seen all the movies on this. Some of them are rewatches, some of them are first time watches. But I looked up other people's lists of what they were watching going into it, and like movies that Robert Eggers has talked about maybe in the past, and just kind of pieced those together by what I found interesting or what I thought might be influential to how he's making Nosferatu. So let me pull up that list. Hop on Letterboxd. I got my trusty iPad here. I am not an iPad kid, so it feels weird like having this technology on this slab that I can use. So if you see me moving slow with it, that's why. Where's my fucking list? Lists. I have a list. What the hell? Here it is. All right, I named it Preparing for Nosferatu. I can even link it in the description. Whether you're watching or listening, I'll put it on Spotify and on YouTube. But, so I've seen, Letterboxd is telling me it has a cool feature where it tells you the percentage of a list that you've seen already. I hope it's not too red in here. I'm using a red light, but my key light is just, maybe I shouldn't do a warm light. Nah, we're already in it now. I'll find out in editing what this looks like. But we're trying something new. I guess a bit off topic. I confirmed what a lot of people are already thinking. I am in a closet right now. Take that as you will. But this is, if you can see this TV right here, I've got a CRT, and my PS2. This is my little PS2 nook. So I've got my movies up there. I've got some games over here. This also is a VHS player. I kind of got into VHS collecting, like, very briefly, and I was like, holy shit, I'm going to spend a lot of money on this. Maybe I don't want to do that. I do want to do that. Cannot afford to do that. But I thought, you know what, it might be a good idea, just have a designated area to do the podcast or do videos. And I've got a couple posters behind me that I already had in here. No one gets to see them because they're not out in the living room or like in the kitchen or anything. No one puts... I don't think people put posters up in kitchens. Maybe paintings or something, but not posters. Posters aren't meant for kitchens. But the list goes as follows. What order do I want to do this in? I feel like the order doesn't really matter. Maybe let's set this up. What the fuck did I say? Not stats. We're going to do this in chronological order. What the hell? This is me not being able to use this. List order. Wait, no. Chronological order. There we go. Okay. So we got some heaters on this list too. Now, I'm assuming the ones I haven't seen are also heaters, but I'm going to try to. We've got 2 days, hopefully, before I see it. But the first one on the list is not Nosferatu. The first one on the list is, I think, arguably the first full horror film. It is The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. If you haven't heard of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, it is a silent film that came out in 1920. It's German. It came out during the German Expressionism wave, where a lot of things that you'll notice in those movies are like very theatrical designs of character design and of set design. A big thing in Dr. Caligari is like how jagged and angular everything is. Even the Caesar, the somnambulist in this, I probably butchered that, but I butcher a lot of words in this. Whenever I'm thinking too fast, speech impediment comes back, but that's all right. But a lot of jaggedness, but it's also all intentionally directing. So, which a lot of things in film are intentional, but stick with me. The instead of using camera angles to like guide your eye line, so it's been a while since I've seen this. It's probably been like 6 or 7 years since I've seen Dr. Caligari. I tried to rewatch this one the other day. It is not streaming anywhere. So if you find a way to stream it, check it out then. But the angles used in the film, like if a hallway is going this way towards like me, back here, it would be like the end of a hallway. And it gets tighter and tighter behind me, even though it's probably not a real hallway. It's just part of the set, but it's so that I am framed by like the outline of the hallway or the set of like a door frame or a window. I think they do the thing in this where it's almost like a spotlight shot. I don't know what that shot's called, but it like follows them and it's just a circle and it's all blacked out. It's almost like you put like a tube like around the lens. But other than that, they use a lot of really cool set design to influence the cinematography. It's also creepy. It is still creepy. If you're like, oh, I don't want to watch a silent film, like silent films are boring, I'm gonna fall asleep, I recommend, and this is what I did when I rewatched Nosferatu the other day, I recommend finding maybe like a screening of it on YouTube or someone coming up with a track on YouTube or Reddit of a score or like a soundtrack that you can listen along with the movie playing. Because back then, I think they very rarely ever watched the movies in dead silence. Like, there was usually a pianist there, like an organ being played, or like a band of some sort that were like setting the tone of the scene with music. Because they didn't exactly have they didn't have sound in their movies, so they're not going to record music to go in the background. But find that if you think silent films are boring, because The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is awesome. It's probably one of the most important movies ever made. Without Caligari and German Expressionism, you don't get a lot of the undertones of like the creepiness and the shadows being, what am I even trying to say here? Without German Expressionism, horror would be set back probably like another 20 years. You don't get any of those black and white like Universal films. You don't get Dracula from like Todd Browning or anything if you don't get Caligari before it. And you don't get Nosferatu without Caligari. It's not necessary to watch, but I think watching it before you've ever seen Nosferatu, the original, is a really good double feature. Find something to play in background, put some music on, put on a soundtrack you think sounds like cool and spooky behind it. It might even just line up. Like how it used to be a thing in high school. My friends would not me, but my friends would get really high and watch like The Wizard of Oz. And supposedly, if you played Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, like the album at the beginning of Wizard of Oz, it will flow exactly the length, like to the end, and all of the music lines up with the scenes. I've never tried that myself. I'd love to do an episode on The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz is not a horror movie, like per se, but everything that happened in the background, like on set, is pretty horrific. There's a lot of rumors about like people like hanging themselves on set and like dwarf orgies like in hotels next to set, and Judy Garland being just abused by every higher up in the industry. But that's not what this episode's about. So, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, fantastic, one of the most important films ever made. Next, that's not next. Next is Nosferatu. This is the last silent film on here, but I don't want to say that Nosferatu is overrated, because it's not. I like Nosferatu. Nosferatu is nice and creepy. I don't think it's as good of a film as, say, as Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is. I think the way they tell the story in Caligari is a lot more interesting. It almost has, it's got more mystery to it, because you don't exactly know what's going on. But you can watch the story develop just by watching it. Whereas Nosferatu, I feel like it, at least in this day and age, takes a lot from you already knowing who Dracula is. And at this time, like when this came out, of course, and if you don't know, like Nosferatu was not in the public, or Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula was not in the public domain. So Nosferatu being created was actually illegal. The film, I think they got sued for doing it. So finding a bunch of different cuts of the film was hard. Or not finding a bunch of different cuts is hard, but you would notice a bunch of different cuts because the movie was being like illegally distributed. So you'd have like an American cut that might run an hour and 10 minutes. You'd have, I don't know, a Swedish cut that might run like an hour and 17 minutes. And it's all because people would just find versions of it and try to get it out into the public. But Nosferatu is good. It's not as good as Dr. Caligari, but I think it's important to watch before this remake. That way you see like how Robert Eggers is going to adapt a movie that's already 100 years old, 102 years old, came out in 1922. I almost want to tell you just to like watch clips so you understand, because I watched Nosferatu, a version called Nosferatu the First Vampire, and it had an intro from David Carradine, who did you might know him as Bill from Kill Bill. And then the rest of it was cut over typo negative songs. So it made it a lot edgier, which I like edgy things, big edger. Pause. But it made it a lot edgier, made it a bit more up to date. I mean, it's still 90s when that was done, but I found it a lot easier to get through with music I already liked playing around it. It wasn't always tonally fitting, but oh well, like the music was made 70 years after the movie was made, so of course it's not going to fit. Even if you just want to watch parts of Nosferatu so that you understand the reference from SpongeBob. Because I think that's how a lot of us were introduced to the first vampire. Like, I'm almost positive that was the first time I ever saw him, was when he's flicking the light switch. And they're like, oh, Nosferatu. Is that the hash slinging slasher episode? Hash slinging, the hash smoking / bringing flasher? Something like that. But Nosferatu. Those are the only 2 silent films on here. I think those are good watches. If you like horror at all, like, at some point, you should probably watch either one of those. You don't have to watch them before Nosferatu, which I guess I don't know, because it's not out yet, and I haven't seen Robert Eggers' adaptation, but you should be able to go into any movie as a standalone film, unless it's, like, inherently a sequel. You should, no, I take that back. You should still be able to go into it as a standalone film. The next one's Dracula. I don't have much to say about Dracula because I tried to rewatch this. I don't think I've seen the original Bela Lugosi Dracula since high school. I had a little bit of a Universal Monsters phase in high school. Um, so this is one I'd really like to try to find. I might have to see if I can like rent it on Amazon, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, like Letterboxd isn't saying that it's streaming. It says I can buy it on Amazon, but I don't want to buy it unless it's a physical copy. Anywho, Dracula. I don't have to talk about this one that much. When you think of vampires, you probably, if not your first, your second thought is Dracula, and most likely it's based off the look of Bela Lugosi with the cape, the slick back hair, the fucking the widow's peak. Like that's what you think of as the stereotypical vampire now. Um, Came out in 1931, black and white. Like I don't have much else to say about like it. I don't I don't want to say it holds up because I haven't seen it in so long, but I remember still liking it. Like it's entertaining. It's only an hour and 14 minutes. Like if you can't take an hour and 14 minutes of your time to watch a movie that's so important to horror movies, like maybe you don't like horror movies. Next. Swipe. I'm swiping. Swipe or no swiping. This one, okay. The Hammer films, Dracula. I think also called Horror of Dracula. Is that correct? I think that's correct. I've never seen this one. This is one I wanted to try to find fucking streaming again. Couldn't find it. It looks like I can buy it too. I just don't feel like it's the fucking holidays, dude. I don't have money to be spending on myself right now. I gotta eat and buy gifts for other people. So I really want to watch this one. Came out in 1958. So what is that? It was 1931 for the original. So 27 years difference. If I fucked up that math, don't tell me. I'm not even gonna keep trying. But it stars Christopher Lee. Well, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. You know Christopher Lee as he's Saruman in Lord of the Rings. He's also who? He's in Star Wars. Is he Count Dooku? Yeah, I think he's Count Dooku in Star Wars. I haven't watched Star Wars in a while. I've been out of my Star Wars phase. Christopher Lee's also one of the most interesting people ever. I'm pretty sure he was like in the British secret military. I remember hearing somewhere a story about, and it might have been in Dracula, but in some movie, they were setting up a scene for someone to die, and the director was giving direction on like, no, like to make it more realistic, do this, do that. And I guess Christopher Lee told him like that's not how people die, and then showed him a more accurate way of how he's seen people die, whether he did it himself or just saw it happen. And that's crazy. That is wild. Can you imagine just like, assuming this is on Dracula, the guy dressed as a vampire comes up to you and he's like, that is not how people die. And he like walks you through it. But he's like super nice. I've only heard good things about him. I think he's dead now, which RIP Christopher Lee. But apparently that movie's really, it's more blood and gore and shock value, but it's also the 50s, so it's not near as blood and gore as like nowadays. But this compared to the original Dracula, I think took the violence notch up a lot. And I want to say a bit more on the nose with like the hypersexuality that comes around Dracula. Like I said, I haven't seen it. I need to see it. I'm just recommending movies that either I've seen or I've heard other people say really good things about, throwing them at you. That way, if you find one interesting and another one not, you have something to watch before. All right, next is, okay, another one I haven't seen. So a lot of these are back to back. The more recent ones I have seen. The Innocents. So from what I know of The Innocents, let me just read the synopsis I've got on here. So The Innocents came out in 1961. It was directed by Jack Clayton. It is an hour and 40 minutes long. Apparitions, evils, corruptions. A young governess for 2 children becomes convinced that the house and grounds are haunted by ghosts and that the children are being possessed. This thing's got a 4.1 on Letterboxd. Mutuals I've got on here, 4.5 stars, 4.5 stars, 4 stars, 4.5 stars. Like, Apparently, this is one of the best ghost movies ever seen, and or ever made. And I add that to this not because it's a vampire movie, but because I saw in an interview with Robert Eggers that like whenever he needs inspiration for something, this is one of his go-to movies. I can't remember when that was from. That might have been from when he was doing The Witch. It could have been Nosferatu. I don't remember. I watched it maybe a year or two ago, but he said this one was super influential to his style of filmmaking. So if you want to get more in the mind of Robert Eggers and maybe his creative process, this is one to throw on. And like I said, it's super highly rated, high regarded. It's been on my watch list for a while, but now I've got it on a list. Is this streaming? Motherfucker, no. So this is why I haven't seen these. Because the other day I tried to go and watch a lot of these movies on this list that I hadn't seen. None of them are fucking streaming anywhere. I'm going to have to buy all these. All right. Innocence. Next. I think is the last movie. Nope. Where's this? I've got 2 more movies on here I haven't seen. Are you sure that's 60%? Well, I guess this is counting. I haven't rewatched Dr. Caligari in a while, and I haven't rewatched Dracula in a while. So I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 10. Yeah, that's 60%. I can do math. Quick math. 6 out of 10. Simplified. Yeah. 3/5. Okay. Next one is Nosferatu the Vampire. So this is a Werner Herzog film. Came out in 1979. 3.8 average on Letterboxd. I almost said IMDb, but no one uses that anymore. I haven't seen this, so I think this one. Let me just read this one again. So, time is an abyss, profound as 1,000 nights. A real estate agent leaves behind his beautiful wife to go to Transylvania to visit the mysterious Count Dracula and formalize the purchase of property in Weimar? Vismar? That's not how you say Weimar. Wismar. So I think this is just a... Yeah, no, I'm thinking of a different movie. Where? Yes. Okay, I'm mixing this up with a different movie. This one is just a remake of Nosferatu, I believe. Probably not shot for shot, but why I want to see it is it's got Isabella Gianni in it as John Harker's wife, I believe. Yeah, Lucy Harker. And if you don't know who Isabella Gianni is, she is not the lion planeswalker from Magic the Gathering. That is just a Johnny. She is the main actress in Possession. The movie with Sam Neill and her. And that movie's phenomenal. She is incredible. She steals the show in that movie. If you've never seen Possession, go watch Possession. She's the whole reason I even want to see Nosferatu the Vampire. Which also, like, vampires are cool and shit, and I want to know about other vampire movies going into Nosferatu. Let's see if this is streaming. Who wants to bet money this isn't streaming? No shit. I'm glad I didn't take that bet. This one's on Tubi and Peacock. Sick. So, as of December 23rd, 2024, you can watch Nosferatu the Vampire. If you don't pay for Peacock, watch it on Tubi. Tubi's awesome. Tubi's got, like, every movie that's not somewhere else. You just have to watch a couple ads, and that's fine. Okay. Next is Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is Francis Ford Coppola's. This one's hit or miss for people, I think. There are parts of this movie I love, and there are parts of this movie that I'm like, why do people regard this movie so highly? And the first time I watched it, I would think I was hard on it. I watched it maybe a year ago and liked it a lot more because I think I knew what I was getting into. Tonally, I was wanting to rewatch it. It's very theatrical. Same with like Dr. Caligari. This has fantastic set design. If you want to see the most dripped out vampire maybe ever, look up oh fuck, what's his name? I got it right here. Hold on. Look up Gary Oldman in this film. Every outfit he has is drip-tacular. It's incredible, from his like steampunk like top hat look, which I wish I looked like, to the armor he wears when he's Vlad the Impaler. This like big, almost metallic looking red armor. It's fucking dope as shit. I want that so bad too. I might just start dressing like Gary Oldman in Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. I think that'd be a good idea. I wonder if my girlfriend would care if I did that. But it's also got, like, look at this cast. Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves, Carrie Elwes. Who else is here? Anyone else? Tom Waits is in this. Anyone else I know? Just any big names? No, but like that's enough. A big, like, contentious point here is you either can take with a grain of salt Keanu Reeves' performance in this, or you just think it's laughably bad. I love Keanu. I love Keanu more than most people do. I will watch most of his movies. But sometimes I just don't think you were made for a role, and it might have just been because he was a big actor at the time. It was 1992. I'm trying to think. Like, I think he would have already been known for Bill and Ted and stuff, but like he was a decent name that you could throw on it. Good looking dude, but they've got him doing a British accent, and it hurts a little bit. My first watch, I was like, what the fuck? No, Keanu, they did you so wrong. Like, no, don't make him do this. Second watch, I was like, I want to hear Keanu Reeves talk like this. Because it's just, I don't want to say it's so bad, but it stands out as very below average compared to how, like, Gary Oldman is acting in it, who's also theatrical, but just, like, carries such a presence when every scene that he's in, not only with his outfits, but with his aura. I hate using the word aura now. Everyone uses aura. That dude's got so much aura. Check out my aura. You're a horror. But this is one that you have to watch and get your own opinion on. It's a longer one. So if you don't know Francis Ford Coppola, he directed the Godfather films, which are two of the greatest films ever made. He also did Apocalypse Now, which is also phenomenal. But for some reason, he was like, I want to do a Dracula film. And I haven't seen Megalopolis yet. I'm very scared. I don't have high hopes for that movie. I'm going to try to go into Megalodon with the same thought process as my second time watching Dracula. Like, is it entertaining to watch? Like, not is it objectively, like, great? But look, like, some of my mutuals on Letterboxd: 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5, 5 out of 5. What did I give this? Ooh, I give it a 3. And that might have been harder on it than, like, at the moment. At the moment, I was like, man, this just isn't as good as everyone thinks it is. But the set design, Gary Oldman, and just, like, hot vampire women and stuff, like, I look back on it fonder. I might give it a 3.5 now. 3.5 out of 5. This is an above average movie. It's not a bad movie. I think if you like vampires or just like gothic horror, at some point you should watch this. Let me make sure I'm still recording audio, because I've done that before. Yep, I'm still recording audio. Next on the list. This is the one I originally was thinking the Werner Herzog film was. Shadow of the Vampire. So, Shadow of the Vampire, let me read this for you. This one's a really interesting premise. So, came out in 2000. An unspeakable horror. A creative genius. Captured for eternity. Director F.W. Murnau makes a Faustian? Fuck, this makes me look so stupid when I read this shit. Let me restart. Director F.W. Murnau makes a Faustian pact with a vampire to get him to star in his 1922 film, Nosferatu. So it's about, like, the behind the scenes of the original Nosferatu being made. I believe Willem Dafoe plays Max Schreck, which is the actor that played Nosferatu in the original one. Which is really cool, because I don't remember what character. I try not to know too much about a lot of movies I'm really hyped for, like, before going into them. But I know that Willem Dafoe is in Nosferatu, which is a really good callback to him playing Nosferatu already. Uh, this one's got a bit lower reviews. This is a 3.5 overall. My mutuals are giving it 3.5, 3, and 4. I've heard really good things about this. I've heard this is a very interesting and fun movie in that Willem Dafoe, like, fully embodies just if some person in our real grounded world, like, was a vampire. Because that's the whole premise is, like, Max Schreck was not playing a character. Like, he makes a deal with a vampire to film a real vampire. I really need to see this one. Are you streaming? No. See, I tried to watch this one also. I wanted to watch Nosferatu, the typo negative one, and then I went to watch Shadow of the Vampire, like right after it, and it wasn't fucking streaming. It's never fucking streaming. I wish we had a fucking video store I could go to. All right, last two. Last two I have seen. They were both just Robert Eggers films. His first and his second. So you've probably already seen both of these, but I think it's really cool to go back to a director's filmography, especially if they are so early in their career, and just see how quickly they have developed as directors. So I think it's really cool to watch The Witch, which is a phenomenal movie, I think a perfect movie, and then watch The Lighthouse, which, spoilers, is the next movie on the list and the last one, and just see how he went from being like great at his job to being, I don't want to call him like a mastermind yet, but like, oh man, he's so good. I think Robert Eggers is my favorite modern director right now. But just the leap from going from a great movie to a weird, absurdist, fantastic movie. Like, I mean, I've got The Witch tattooed on my leg. Thanks for that one, Jordan. But I want to rewatch this, that way I can go in. And I almost threw The Northman on here too, but I think that's just a different style of film. The Northman's kind of like a folklore, like epic. And I don't think that's what Nosferatu is going to be like. I think it's going to be more of The Witch and The Lighthouse, but maybe a quarter of the scope of The Northman. The Northman was a huge movie. But The Witch is fantastic. You can rewatch that whenever. Like, I give that movie 5 stars every time I watch it. This movie scared the shit out of me. I think I talked about this in the first episode too, because it's probably one of my top 10 films. And it's only an hour and 32 minutes. Go watch it. If you haven't seen The Witch, go fucking watch The Witch. Don't be a bitch, watch The Witch. Next is The Lighthouse. So it brings back Willem Dafoe for you. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is in Nosferatu. Is Anya Taylor-Joy in Nosferatu? Well, hold on. Let me check that now. Where are you at? Are you in here? Damn, did you hear my stomach rumble? Wow, she's not in it. Is this his first movie without Anya Taylor-Joy? So I'm pretty sure she's in The Northman. No, she's not in The Lighthouse. Never mind. I'm stupid. Where was I at? The Lighthouse. The Lighthouse is not for everyone. It's a super weird Promethean, Lovecraftian. I'm throwing a bunch of fucking what's it called? Oh my god, what's it called when you just throw a bunch of like words that are important? Words that a lot of people buzzwords. I'm throwing a lot of buzzwords in there that a lot of people just say when they don't know what they're talking about. But The Lighthouse is so weird, and if you don't even look at it from like a metaphorical standpoint, it's such an interesting look at these two guys just going crazy together. And it's got, instead of one unreliable narrator, it's basically both the characters in this are unreliable. You don't know by the end of it, you don't know who's going crazy, or if they're both crazy, or if you're crazy, if you just weren't paying attention to the movie right. But it's awesome. Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe. Like, I don't know, if you like movies like The Lighthouse, you've probably already seen The Lighthouse, but go rewatch it because it deserves it. The Lighthouse and The Witch are both, I think, in my opinion, like perfect movies. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing I would really change in them. Yeah, like all my mutuals on here: 5 star, 5 star, 4.5 star, 4 star. 4 stars too low. The lowest I would accept on the lighthouse is a 4.5, and that might be if you're homophobic, because there's a lot of homoeroticism in this. There's a lot of times where you're just like looking at the camera chanting like kiss, 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 and you're like, what? I don't want them to do. No, I want them to do that. A lot of farts. A lot of farts in Robert Eggers movies in general. What's the fart count on The Witch? I don't think there's any farts in The Witch. But The Lighthouse, I want to guess there's maybe a dozen, maybe 10 farts. There might be about 10 farts in The Lighthouse. And then The Northman, I think, has like 3 farts. Robert Eggers might be the fartiest director. And that might be why I like him. Because I like to fart. Farts are funny. Farts are cool. If I'm doing them. If you're farting, that's gross and that's disgusting. You should stop. But I'm allowed to fart. I got stomach problems. All pretty girls got stomach problems. Okay. I think that's it. Like I said, this was going to be a faster episode. I might even try. Before I was trying to get these podcast episodes to be roughly an hour. Usually I wouldn't start slowing down what I was talking about until I reached like 45 minutes. But I don't think I need to be that long. That's what she said. Not to me. Now I'm just talking. I guess the whole podcast is me talking to myself. I haven't done this in a minute. Can you tell? I feel like you can tell I haven't done this in a minute. Hopefully you enjoyed being back. I'm going to try to get this back out there. I might change up the regimen because I was trying to do weekly. I might do bi-weekly. Try to film like 2 at a time. I usually film on Mondays, so I would do a Monday, film 2 of them. The next Monday, edit 2 of them. That way I'm always one ahead. That way if I ever get behind, like at work or something, I can just have another one up. But here I am setting up plans that I don't fulfill. Because, like, that happens. Sometimes we get busy. Sometimes we get lazy. Sometimes we get depressed. Sometimes we get drunk and we're really hungover the next day. We don't want to do it. Sometimes we just want to play Marvel Rivals. I've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals. Anyone on PS5 want to get together and play some ranked? Everyone I play with is bad, and it's not my fault. It's all them. I'm not bad. Alright, well, that was Dead Air. I'm Daddy, Evil Daddy, Dwight. Thank you for listening. If you aren't, follow me on the dying thing that is TikTok at Evil Daddy. Follow me on Blue Sky. That's a new one that I've got updated now. I think it's just Evil Daddy at whatever Blue Sky's fucking thing is. The Evil Daddy at Blue Sky 69420. Instagram, Evil Daddy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, give us a rating if you may. Ratings helps a lot. Ratings puts us higher up in the algorithm for other people. If they see that other people like this, then they'll give it to other people that like the same things that person might like. If you don't like it, feel free to give me a rating. You're going to hurt my feelings. If you want to see me cry on camera, I'll do that. But usually that costs money. Now I'm just fucking blabbering. I did miss doing this. I'm happy to do this again. Let's hope this one gets edited. I want to start streaming again too. Baby steps. All right. I love y'all. Smooches.